I love a lot of versions of Batman, including some more obscure stuff. So there are some obscure characters that made my ranking, including my number 60, Commodore Schmidlab. And he managed to make to the ranking because he's incredibly important to the plot of the 1966 Batman film, and he's easily one of the most hilariously gullible characters in the franchise. 59 Sweet Tooth, a villain from the 1977 Batman cartoon show, a hilariously campy villain that's very memorable. 58 is a character that I think most Batman fans would have in their top 50 and would want to see a lot higher than this, but 58 for me is Robin. I've often thought that Batman's cool enough that he doesn't need Robin. Also, Batman having a young sidekick fight such dangerous villains could make him look like an irresponsible guardian. However, the Burt Ward version of Robin is great, and Batman the Animated Series knew how to use Robin well. 57, another character that I think a lot of Batman fans would have so much higher than this. 57 is Harley Quinn. Started off as a supporting character and has gone to be a huge character. And she has been the protagonist of a lot of stuff. And I don't think she works the best in protagonist stuff. I think she's better as a supporting character, comedy relief, sort of fun character. But when used correctly, she can be a lot of fun. 56, Talia al Ghul. A fascinating character that is torn between her loyalty to her father, Ra's al Ghul, and her love for Batman. Some more modern versions have made her evil rather than morally ambiguous, and I think that hurt the appeal of the character, but she's still great when written well. 55 Alice, a character that's gone through a lot of different versions, including working for the Mad Hatter and being Batwoman's sister. For Katana, she has proved her importance, coolness, and complexity in Beware the Batman, where she serves as one of the main characters. 53 Lady Shiva, a really cool character that adds a lot of charm and style when she appears. 52 Martha Wayne, and she got a high spot because of Pennyworth, in which she's a more well developed, interesting character than ever before and is the show's best character, in my opinion. 51 Commissioner Loeb, Jim Gordon's villainous predecessor, a fascinating character in the franchise. And Commissioner Loeb being so corrupt shows how important it is that Jim Gordon took his place. 50, The Music Meister. 49, The Bookworm. The Music Meister and the Bookworm haven't made many appearances. What they have done is given me lots of memorable entertainment. Their gimmicks and fun personalities were really enjoyable. 48, Roland Daggett. Um, as a corrupt business rival to Wayne Industries and a secretly evil character, Roland Daggett is able to be a personal enemy for both Bruce Wayne and Batman. His most memorable appearance is in the episode Appointment Crime Alley, which shows that Roland Daggett is arguably more despicable than the costume villains that Batman fights. 47, Deathstroke. If this were a list of Teen Titans characters, Deathstroke would be much higher. I feel like Deathstroke's best role is being the main villain of Teen Titans, but he's still a pretty great enemy for Batman to fight. 46, Maxie Zeus. In terms of villains that mistake themselves for somebody else, I prefer King Tut, but that doesn't stop Maxie Zeus from being a very fun, underrated villain that I enjoy watching. 45, Clue Master, as Stephanie Brown's father and a game show host that turned to a villain. Clue Master has more going for him than just being a less cool version of the Riddler. 44, Baby Doll. Baby Doll has made far too few appearances, but when she gets the spotlight, she's a fantastic character that's tragic and sympathetic while also being incredibly entertaining. 43, Ragdoll, delightful villain in the 2000s cartoon show The Batman, which she's incredibly energetic and fun while also being creepy. 42, the decoy Ra's al Ghul. I doubt that anybody cares about the decoy Ra's al Ghul from Batman Begins, aside from me to put him on a favorite characters list, but Ken Watanabe's performance is an unforgettable delight for me. 41, J-Man, the leader of the Jokers from Batman Beyond, a really fun villain, and having a villain that dresses and tries to act like the Joker, but is a comedic troublemaker rather than Batman's most personal enemy, is a really enjoyable concept. 40, Sal Maroni. At first, Sal Maroni was simply the character that was responsible for Two-Face transformation, and that was already noteworthy enough. However, he's gone on to be Carmine Falcone's big rival, so he's been a big part of a lot of interesting, huge stories. Uh, 39, Bluebird, a character that really appeals to me because of the short-lived yet deeply underrated Gotham Knights series, in which she's the type of character that seems cold and angry, but deep down is a really caring, thoughtful character. 38, Lucius Fox, being the person that takes care of Wayne Industries and makes Batman's gadgets. Lucius Fox is one of the most important supporting characters in the franchise. Hopefully, future adaptations give the character the attention and respect that most previous adaptations have lacked. 37, Chief O'Hara, easily the most unintelligent, unhelpful recurring character that Gotham's police force has ever had. He's so bad at his job that he adds a lot of great comedy relief. He's hilarious. 36, Detective Bullock. Harvey Bullock is far from being the nicest supporting character, but he's an incredibly funny character. Also, the Gotham series shows that even though Harvey Bullock is a flawed person, he still cares about justice and is a loyal friend to Jim Gordon. 35, Rupert Thorne, a great recurring antagonist that causes Batman a lot of trouble from behind the scenes. He adds a lot to adaptations, particularly in Batman the Animated Series and Batman Cape Crusader. 34, Floronic Man, being responsible for Poison Ivy's origin, being an incredibly dangerous and ridiculous villain. Floronic Man is a delightfully interesting villain that I really enjoy. Also, I love the nickname Floro that characters have referred to him as. I particularly love it when Batman referred to him as Floro. Great stuff. 33, Calendar Man. A villain that has a holiday themed gimmick and obsession has lots of story potential, and it's given Calendar Man lots of interesting material. He's an underrated villain that I want to see more often. 32, Max Schreck. In a film that has Batman, Catwoman, and the Penguin, all Max Schreck needed to be was a typical corrupt businessman. However, Tim Burton's brilliant directing, Christopher Walken's great acting, made Max Schreck a far more interesting character than he otherwise would have been. 31, Batmite. I think that Batmite is a divisive character, but I really like him. Batmite, being a huge Batman fanboy that loves watching Batman's adventures, is really relatable. I particularly like Batmite in the 1977 Batman cartoon show. 30, Murray Franklin. As a huge fan of Batman and Robert De Niro, I felt so excited about Robert De Niro appearing in Joker. Also, Murray Franklin being a talk show host that pokes fun at people he doesn't know for cheap laughs is a meaningful commentary about how we shouldn't judge and tease people that seem different. 29, Farmer Brown. His episode in the new Batman Adventures, funniest episode of the show, one of the funniest episodes of the franchise in general. Batman fighting evil farmers, a delightfully bizarre idea that lived up to the comedic brilliance that it had the potential of being. 28, Professor Bubbles, a villain from the 1977 cartoon show, one of the most delightfully campy villains that Batman's ever had to deal with. Professor Bubbles is so ridiculous that it's hard for me to not stop smiling when watching him. 27, The Weeper. His episode in The Brave and the Bold is my favorite episode of the show. I love his personality, gimmick, design, and Tim Conway's voice performance. Despite having a small role in the franchise, he's incredibly memorable. 26, Black Mask, a character that has a brilliant backstory and is a chilling, menacing villain for Batman to fight. So far, his best adaptation is Under the Red Hood, in my opinion. 25, The Ventriloquist, a sympathetic, cleverly written villain. Although he's not much of a physical challenge for Batman, he makes up for it by his unique personality and dilemma. Really fascinating character, really adds a lot to stories. 24, Black Bat, better known as Cassandra Cain, cool, underrated member of the Bat family. Although she doesn't show up as much as she should, she's great when she gets the chance to shine. 23, Magpie, the most fascinating villain in Beware the Batman, which she's a tragic yet entertaining and villainous character. The show did a great job at giving underrated villains the spotlight, and Magpie's the villain that they did the best job at making interesting. 22, Gilda Dent. She used to be simply Harvey Dent's caring wife, but The Long Halloween gave her a new, brilliant role that made her a far more interesting character than expected. She's so brilliantly written in that. Fantastic. 21, Carmine Falcone, the type of character that could have just been a corrupt guy in a suit for Batman to stop. However, Carmine's genuine love for his family manages to add lots of humanity to one of Gotham City's most misguided businessmen. It makes stories about him much more interesting than they otherwise would have been. I was hoping I would get to the top 60 in one video, but running out of time. But looking forward to going into the top 20, and feel free to let me know what you think.